by Anup Vijay, head of content and vertical TV. He's going to take us through what we've seen through the last few months and how this phenomena is exploding month in and out. Also joining us this morning is Jaunty, director and producer at SW Studios. And lastly, we're being joined by Apurva Arora. She's an actor. She's worked herself in micro dramas, and so she'll be in the best position to tell us how actors are looking at this changing trend in the industry. I want to first up begin with Jaunty. Jaunty, it all began with China, South Asian countries. That's where this trend first picked up. Slowly, India's embracing it, but it's picking up fast. It's almost exploding. That's the rate at which we're seeing this reach to the audiences. Why has India gotten it into now, and what trend have you witnessed the last few months?
Absolutely. I think China, South Korea for that matter, really picked up back in 2016-17, or I think 2020 is when it actually started off. And I really think the kind of storytelling, the kind of sensibilities that those South Korean dramas and those emotions that they initially picked up with is what Indians really resonate with. And I think that's what's catching up right now, and it really looks like a fresh new format of storytelling.
All right, Anup, if I could just come to you on that as well, just to expand on this a little further. Now, Christine, wouldn't you say microdrama is really like the espresso shot of storytelling?
100%.
Fast, intense, addictive. Now, why do you think audiences are suddenly so hooked?
So, I mean, their consumption pattern usually is determined by what they consume on social media, right? And on social media, they usually get content that's really snacky, and they would consume just the first 3 seconds and decide whether they'd want to watch the video. And that's the same consumption pattern that has sort of translated onto fiction as well. Today, nobody has the time to go through too many minutes of an episode or a story or a film and then decide whether they'd want to watch it. They'd want to decide within the first 3 or 5 seconds. And that's what microdramas are about, hooking you in the first 3, 5, 10, or at the max 30 seconds to make sure that you watch every episode that's being shown to you.
But Anup, that also means there's never, or there should never be a low point throughout those 60, 90 seconds, right? So that's a lot of pressure on content creators, on people working on this.
Sure, it definitely is pressure. But the good thing is that now writers have slowly started to understand that even for long form fiction, even for other formats of content, you have to make sure that your first few offerings to the audience or to the viewers are impeccably interesting, and your characters sort of are interesting enough to pull through the entire story. Your characters can never have a low point. Also, their reactions have to be beyond normal, which is what we've realized, that your subtle reactions, your subtle lifestyle would never engage a viewer, versus everything OTT, everything over the top is something that viewers are actually lapping up.
Okay, I want to quickly bring in Apurva, and then you can follow up on this one. But Apurva, I'm going to start with a little difficult question this morning for you. And I'm going to place 2 options right in front. One is Family Aajkal and the other is Ilaka. Ilaka is the micro drama that you've done. So 3 seasons out already. If I were to ask you, what do these 2 mean for you, and how are they different from each other? I'm not going to ask you to pick a favorite because that will be a little difficult, but tell us more about the journey there.
Honestly, I think you've picked the best ones for me because in the last 2-3 years, these are the 2 shows that I've had the best time working on. There's been an insane amount of prep, a lot of discussions with the director, a lot of rehearsals, readings, meeting with the actors, taking time on set to actually, perform the scene, get used to the set, make it your own. Sometimes also come up with new things after a few takes and then sort of incorporate that. With that being in mind, I feel that for an actor, there's absolutely no difference. For an actor, their job is just to do as the director says. Of course, you come up with your own ideas. The idea is to, be the right frequency, be the right pace, be the right mood, the character, and just try to tell the story the way it's meant to be told. That's all an actor needs to do. doesn't really matter what platform, whether it's a show
so
or a
Apurva's telling us
film.
that there's no difference really
Right.
between a micro drama and a web series from an actor perspective.
Right, and that's interesting because
Yes.
that's exactly what I wanted to come to. Do you think this introduction of micro dramas can perhaps provide actors, because I would think it can provide actors with more creative control, more narrative control, perhaps help them build a body of work so that that can help them across platforms, across formats as well.
Absolutely. I think, first of all, you get to build an audience. And for someone like me, that's very, very important that numbers come in and producers, directors, casting directors start trusting me more. They might never have doubted the work that I do, but a lot of times people do also want to look at the numbers. So when you have that kind of audience, you have that kind of a fan base who's actually watched you and used to your face, so to say, I think it helps an actor get more and more opportunities. Also, I think it's great to keep your acting chops warmed up. You know.
Okay, I do want to go across to Jonty once again. Jonty, let's get back to the drawing board. So for a producer, for a director working on a short format, a vertical format, picking that as your form of storytelling, tell us about the ingredients here. So budget-wise, turnaround time-wise, also it has to be snappier writings, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I wish my answer was similar to Apurva's, where there's no difference across mediums to as a director, as a producer, but it's very different. I think from both angles. As a director, I am limited by the medium. While I'd like not to call it a limitation because of the vertical format, the kind of storytelling that you do, the kind of editing, the kind of pacing that you do is very different, because you cannot show landscapes, you cannot show a certain vastness to it. So what you're playing with is purely characters, purely actors, their emotions, their arcs and everything, which is great again for actors. And as a producer, it's a very, very tough category to crack, because it's quick, it's very efficient when it comes to the storytelling. So many people have been doing it, and it actually picked up a lot with TikTok in US back in 2020 and 21, and that's why you can actually be at home, make a micro drama on your phone, and be out there on the internet. So that's actually gotten the expectations down to the bare minimum for everyone around it. So, like for instance,
so are these micro dramas being shot without your typical expensive cameras, that kind of crew? What kind of work is going into it?
I think the way we're shooting micro dramas now is to bring it down to, for instance, not a cine camera but a DSLR, which is quick and efficient, and as well as you can have multiple of them shooting parallelly so that there's enough footage. Like I was going to say, you shoot a typical feature film, let's say in a 30 or a 45-day period. The same duration of content you would be shooting in 6 or 7 or 8 days in a typical micro drama.
Apurva's a living example. 3 seasons already of the micro drama she just worked on.
Right, and of course with that, just based on what you've said as well, vertical TV is booming as well. That being said, do you think we're also risking oversaturation here?
I don't think so, to be honest, because users generally are used to consume so much content these days, especially on social media, that no matter how much content we put out, our data genuinely suggests that people are consuming hours worth of content every day. So there's, of course, no saturation from the point of view of creative content and people's consumption. Of course, there could be some clutter with not so great content coming in. But I don't think there's a lot of saturation at this point. We're still at a nascent stage.
So with the typical micro drama viewer in India today, Anup, if I can just put it that way, can you classify it? Is it tier 2, tier 3 people? Because a lot of comments have come in suggesting that the tier 1 is still not giving into this content as yet.
I would say otherwise, to be honest. Of course, there's a heavy bent towards tier 2, but tier 1 audiences are catching up. I'll give you just one simple example. When we started out, of course, we had your regular drama stories, but then the kind of stories that started catching up, the kind of stories that started being appreciated, were the kind of stories that a tier 1 audience would also consume and really like, right? And today, the differentiation between a tier 1, tier 2 audience is sort of really, merged. There's no clear demarcation. People have access to, OTTs and so many other films and so much more content through social media, that the differentiation in itself is a little blurred. So I'd say, if you clearly want to demarcate a tier 1 audience, they're slowly catching up, and they're also appreciating newer genres of content like sci-fi, pure thrillers, apart from the regular dramas that every micro OTT is known for.
Let me just come back to a point that you were making earlier as well. Speaking of clutter here, that of course in turn I'm assuming would make discoverability harder. So how does a creator or a platform beat that?
So for platforms, it's fairly simple. Performance marketing is what actually drives a lot of consumption and content growth, right? And of course, social media is actually a very organic way of growing your database or your viewer base, right? And a lot of influencers and a lot of known actors are sort of adopting this form of cinema, which also helps us maximize our reach.
Okay, Apurva, speaking of which, speaking of acting and the kind of work you have to put in for this kind of format, do you think it's also enhanced or taken the entire celebrity fan base engagement to another level? Has that changed for you?
It actually has a little bit. It's starting to now. People are kind of getting used to the fact that they might get to see me not only on an OTT platform or a big screen, but also on their phones. And most of the audience is right now aware, that there's a new category called a second screen. So people tend to use their phones a lot, and then that's the kind of shows that are being made now so that people can actually still keep scrolling. So why not give them something to watch while they keep on scrolling? They get to scroll every 30 to 60 seconds. Why not? But also the audience is very, very smart. They're very, very aware of the fact that if it's not a second screen content, they do put the phones down. If you give them something good, something engaging, a good story that's been worked on, they do watch it. If you give them more shows of the film Agra, they will go and watch it. So I think the audience is very, very, very smart, and I'm very glad that I kind of jumped on the bandwagon at the right time, because it's always good to make that kind of space and move with the times, because I have grown up watching films. I have grown up wanting to be in films, but I also need to understand that my thought process might just be outdated at this point. I might just be clinging to that thought of, I will only be seen on a big screen or a long format show. Also, this doesn't feel like it's new to me, the kind of storytelling, because as an actor in my early days, I've been a part of a lot of ads. And there you have to tell stories in maximum 30 seconds, sometimes even 10 seconds. So I feel like this doesn't feel like pressure anymore, because luckily I got to work with some great ad filmmakers as well. But I think it's pretty much the same. Of course, not the budgets for sure, but it's the feeling of it, the delivery of the story, the narrative. It's pretty much the same. The only difference is that here there is a brand, and in a microdrama, there's probably no brand.
The budget might not be the same, but the revenue is great of what we see of the numbers so far.
Now, speak of great ROI, right? And I'm really glad that you mentioned what you said about perhaps how you view content is different now, because, well, you have your reasons. But that being said, we've seen this with OTT as well. There is always some sort of resistance when it comes to new formats, the way we consume content, and the way we create content as well. That being said, do you think microdramas are on their way to get the kind of recognition perhaps daily soaps do? And because we've seen that even for OTT, it took a while for some of the bigger stars to also come to OTT, accept it, and realize that that's the new way that we consume content now.
Is that for Anoop?
Yes, that's for Anoop.
Anoop.
So, of course, the recognition is on its way, and I think it's going to come sooner than later. Reasons being, companies like ours, of course, started out with a promise of delivering cinematic content and content that really looks aesthetic, film-worthy. and the reception has been great. The reception has been more than welcoming, and I think that's the reason why the acceptance is going to be very, very high. And I think the audience reception is of course going to be positive enough for it to be able to compete with TV and film. And of course, like Apurva rightly pointed out, the phone was your second screen, but it's slowly getting to become your primary screen for every user. And once it's your primary screen, everybody is going to look at content in a very, very different light. And I think it's already a primary screen for most of our younger audiences, people between the ages of 18 to 25, 18 to 30 rather. So they consume most of their content on their mobile phones. Even films cut into bite-sized content pieces across Instagram get great conversions, get great consumption numbers. So
it's not so much of a good news, Anup, though, for parents watching this. I mean, if the children are going to be hooked onto their, gadgets for 20, 30 episodes in one go, it's certainly going to be spoken of as doom scrolling, right?
Speaking of
course,
parents,
of
I
course.
think parents are more addicted to their phones at this point. So maybe there's a dearth of material for them to watch as well.
Okay.
Right.
That's
I
actually
second
something
Apurva
we
on
could
that.
delve into.
Okay,
People are already
Jonty,
hooked
very
into
quickly, what about the future? So what innovations in storytelling, filmmaking are going to drive this next phase in microdramas? Brands are also slowly tapping into this opportunity. So they're also now coming out with their own series of vertical formats.
Exactly, because I come from advertising and that's how I started off my career. Reels and this format had already picked up way before microdramas came in, where Instagram and ads were made specifically for that vertical format in Instagram. So the back end of it, with respect to the kind of equipment being used, the kind of structure being used, or the kind of people being aligned to it, I think is already in place to an extent. While the absorbing of storytelling across it is something that people are doing. Amazon MX Player is launching their platform for it within a month. So OTTs are also jumping onto it very soon. And I think the future definitely holds with the brands jumping into the bandwagon. I'm creating one for a very well-known bhujia brand, which will happen soon. Mokobara started off with one of their pages, which is Mokobaru.
Yeah.
And I think it's already going to pick up, because as Apurva and Anup said, people are on their phones. So brands will reach wherever people are, and they will start making stories and content, which will be the future, I feel.
Right, and I just want to talk numbers here as well. So what we are seeing, and if we were to look at the statistics here, it's projected that this is going to be a $1.1 billion market in the next 5 years. Also
so by
to that,
2030.
and also to that, I want to add that no one truly understands how content creators make money, right? No one's fully understood what that model looks like. Is it just sponsorships? And to that end, I want to ask, when it comes to micro dramas, while you're not perhaps required it doesn't require as much funding or financing, when it comes to making money off of these and the monetization model here, how does that differ from perhaps the more commonplace models? Jonty, let me just come to you on that first.
See, in terms of as you said, revenues may be great, but right now it's not trickling down to the creators creating it. But that is also because I think this format does not require the kind of infrastructure that a film or a web series or a full-fledged TVC or a DVC would naturally require. So in terms of, it's definitely, as a director, as a producer, or even as an actor, I'm sure, because we end up accumulating the whole thing, it is not a great paymaster at all right now. It's just something which is, I feel, sustaining people to an extent where it's interesting, it's fun, but it's something that's not definitely helping a lot of revenues for from the crew and people who are already working in different segments of the
And
industry.
it's a relatively new concept. So I think
Yes.
we also need to give it time. I think if this conversation is had 5 months from now or 10 months from now, I think so much will change around it. Apurva, what about actors? So you said you were very comfortable with the format given that you've done a lot of advertisements, etc. But do you see in the future, for instance, microdrama actors crossing over to OTT and web series, and how big of an opportunity can that be if that does happen indeed?
I personally would not like to be limited to one medium ever, and that's something that I have been very careful of. But I feel like it might just happen. It might help a lot of actors find work, which I'll be very happy if they do, because I think it takes a little while sometimes for people to start trusting actors when it comes to casting. I think this is a great way for actors to break into something. It's a great way for actors. For example, I've worked with Mr. Rajpal Yadav, and I'm sure there is no dearth of work, but he probably wanted to do this for the team that reached out to him, for the story that was narrated to him. So I feel that actors are going to keep experimenting here and there. There'll be actors who probably need to, who feel like getting out of the house. There's been a while since they've been on a set, and a microdrama shoot comes along. It's only 3 or 4 days. It's less of a commitment, less of a risk. They might just go ahead and do it. And I genuinely don't think that actors will be limited, so to say.
Okay.
And I hope they're not. But a lot of actors now will get used to the idea of.
Okay, and we have the last 30
doing
seconds,
this.
and I do want to go across to Anoop very quickly on this. Anoop, do you see this format complementing the existing TV soaps and web series format, or do you think this could also be a threat in the near future?
I think it could definitely be a threat. Of course, it's coming on your mobile phones. It's near you. You don't have to go to a cinema hall. You don't have to switch on your TV. You finish a phone call and you can watch an episode. You finish texting someone, you can watch an episode. You're traveling and you can watch an episode or the entire series, if I may say so. So I think it's definitely a threat.
You also don't need your tablets for this.
Right,
So you
and as
have it on your
Jonty
phone.
said, the
Absolutely.
advertisers will come where the people are. So that's going to
Lovely.
happen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, the three of you, for joining us this morning and for this very wonderful conversation. It's a great way to walk into your weekend.
Right.
Let's head into a very short break on that note. Thank you for joining us and thank you for being there with us. Heading into a quick break. Coming up next is our person of interest. We go across to a father-son duo, breaking gender norms and doing much more, setting an example in way more than one. We'll go across to them in just a bit.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as the probe into the Delhi blast, we're shifting our focus now, as this probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger, more sinister terror conspiracy following two major arrests in the past 48 hours. Investigations now reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, who also is known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and a key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator, also accused of providing technical support. This includes the drone modification for a Hamas-style attack and attempts to build rocket-based bombs. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case as well. As you know, when it comes to the Al Falah University, when it comes to its records, its accreditation, its finances, there is a lot to unpack. There a lot remains unanswered when it comes to that as well. The arrest follows evidence which was gathered during the recent searches at locations connected to this entire terror module. Now, CNN has also accessed order which is sending the Al Falah owners to 13 days ED custody, as I just told you. The founder of the Al Falah University is in custody. Saket Court says his custodial interrogation is imperative to unearth the larger terror ecosystem, the Al Falah ecosystem. Saket Court also noted that the ED submission that only a small part of Al Falah ecosystem has been identified till now. And they've also said that his family members are in the Gulf and he might flee the country as well. So that is a threat that remains. However, the owner has been sent into 13 days custody and that remains imperative. He is a very, very crucial link here. As you know, Al Falah was truly at the center of all the terror that was emerging from this university, and we're yet to uncover what was really going on behind the scenes. For more on this, we have with us Ananya. Thank you so much for joining us, Ananya. We really are learning more and more about this Al Falah University. It only goes to show how far and wide this entire network had spread.
Well, absolutely. In fact, this is a big breakthrough that the Enforcement Directorate had as far as the funding of the Al Falah University is concerned. And the Al Falah Trust owner was actually taken into custody by the Enforcement Directorate yesterday. And a 13-day police custody remand was granted after he was produced late last night before, in fact, the additional sessions judge at the Saket Court. And very important to highlight is that the court has noted that not only his family members are in the Gulf, but there is a big risk that he might flee the country. And that's the reason why custodial interrogation is necessary. Not only that, a small chunk, the Enforcement Directorate says and tells the court that a small chunk of the Al Falah ecosystem, which amounts to over 415 crores, is something that has been uncovered, and it could be much larger in nature, and that is why his custodial interrogation is necessary, since he's somebody who knows about all the financial roots of the Al Falah Trust and the kind of funding that comes through the Al Falah University. And that's the reason why, in fact, this particular person needs to be in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate. 13 days of police custody remand is what has been granted. 14 days was actually sought. And that is something, that makes it very, very imperative as to what was this university actually in reality. Was it, in fact, a terror funding ecosystem? Was it a university that was fueling terror, or whether there are much more than what meets the eye, something that could be uncovered by this multi-agency probe that is being carried out by, in fact, the Enforcement Directorate, the National Investigation Agency, and obviously the Faridabad and the Delhi Police itself.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as the probe into the Delhi blast, we're shifting our focus now, as this probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger, more sinister terror conspiracy following two major arrests in the past 48 hours. Investigations now reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. Now we shift our focus to our persons of interest joining us this morning. Today we're going to go across to a father and son duo who are breaking barriers and pushing boundaries. For years, the idea that boys don't dance has been thrown around like some sort of unspoken rule. If a man shows too much grace or expression or softness, people are quick to label that person as effeminate or unmanly.
Now, Rahul Gupta grew up surrounded by exactly this mindset. But Rahul couldn't ignore what dance made him feel like, and today he has built a future in Dubai. He trains students in Bharatnatyam, Western and Indian dance styles, but more importantly, he teaches them confidence, expression, and the freedom to be whoever they want to be.
And standing right at the heart of this new world is also his son Bharat, a child who never had to hide his passion. We're joined by Rahul and Bharat, who have performed together on multiple occasions on various national and international stages. Let's quickly go across to them. Hi Rahul, hi Bharat, how are you? Good morning, thanks for being with us here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting us over here.
Rahul ji, you've spent years in Dubai. You're back in India. The last 5-6 months you've been here, the both of you all. Rahul ji, first up, tell us what inspired you to pursue classical dance, because that's the reason why your son took it up. He's living that journey with you. But how did your individual journey begin?
See, my journey started with my very tender age when I was just 3-year-old. And my mother, Mrs. Saroj Gupta, she's also into dance. She always motivates me to learn this art form. In fact, she's my first guru, I must say that. So my mother inspired me to learn this forms, and I learned this dance form and perform in different stages. And in my school also, she always motivates me to perform in the school functions and the performances. And she sent me in under the guru. Like I learned from Yamini Krishnamurthy also in Delhi. I learned from Suchitra Mitra ma'am. I learned from different teachers. So my mother has a main role, to keep this art form alive in me till now.
All right, and Bharat, let me just come to you. Did you plan for this to happen, and did this just happen organically? Is it just that you were looking at your father and you were inspired? How did this come about?
See, my wife is also into dance. My wife is also a dancer. So our whole family into dance. So naturally, when we're dancing when he born, like he was just 1 year or 2 years, he was look at me and my wife that we are dancing. So this is again in our family. So he's also start his journey like this only to see that like both of us dancing together.
Lovely. Bharat, what role did your parents play in you pursuing classical dance? At what age did you decide that this is what you want to do?
From birth only, I'm watching my father and mother dancing. It was like so amazing watching them. I was amazed whenever they used to dance. And looking at my father dancing was like a next level experience. His expressions, hand movements, footworks, they were so great that I got inspired by looking at him every time he danced. And I started pursuing in this art form.
Right, and did you ever though wonder why classical dance is perhaps looked at with a gender lens and not other forms of dancing? Do you find it unfair perhaps?
Yes, I did feel this thing. Because everyone used to tease me, so I felt very demoralized. But after that, my guru, my father, he used to tell me about the art form. He taught me more things about it. He made me so strong in it that I had the words to tell them that why is not Western criticized and why is Bharatnatyam criticized more. And I told you before also about Lord Shiva. So after I tell them about Lord Shiva, they all get silent and they can't say anything else after that.
In fact, one more thing I would like to share here, he was the first Indian boy in James Westminster School, Sharjah, his American school. He was a TEDx speaker. So there were 12 different nationalities, and Bharat was the only child who represent Indian classical dance and the life journey there. And all the students and all the the principals and the teachers and all the staff members, they was amazed about Bharat performance, and they really appreciate. And they were not knowing what is the classical dance because from there was so many children from Arab and Egyptians and Sudanese. So when they came to know about the culture, about the journey as a male classical dancer, so they really appreciate and they really liked it, and they want again next month or maybe in January again Bharat should come for the TED talk in UAE, so like that.
How nice. Bharat, you called your father your guru. Is Rahul ji a guru first or a father first? How do you see it in your head? It's a difficult one, but what is it like?
He's my father first only because like after I went in an age of 3 or 4 only he started giving me like hard training of Bharatnatyam. Before only he was my father, but after that I would like to say that not a father but he was more a guru. Because like full hard training he used to give me Aramandi. Like it's a bending posture in Bharatnatyam. We call it Aramandi. You have to
And
sit
people making
half
fun of
posture.
this word when in North India because it's a South Indian dances, right? So Bharatnatyam, we are being a North Indian, learning Bharatnatyam, Kuchipudi, and Mohiniyattam. It's little, people. It's not very easy. But when we tell them to children sit in a half sitting posture, half sitting is Aramandi, as Bharat said, and Murumandi is a full sitting. So these all are the Tamil words. So बच्चों को समझाने में करवाने में it will take time, but they used to. Now touchwood, I must say proudly, we should say we have a many schools, we have a many students. Those are learning in under our guidance, and they really feel proud, and we also feel proud to teach them.
Absolutely. Now we can just feel the passion through our screens. And do you ever have artistic disagreements? If so, how do you resolve them?
See, घर में तो as a father, we have like set the time like goals. With this 2 hours, we have a practice session. 2 hours, we have a masti time. Like that, we making our daily schedule. So when I'm teaching him that time, he follow my instructions. He should not supposed to interfere. He should not supposed to talk. When journal life, same example, my wife and me, when we are in schools and when we are in university, we never call. She always called me Rahul sir. I always call Nandini ma'am. So we make balance. We always make our style and way of talking or life journey very balancing. कि dance के बाद dance है, normal life के बाद normal life है. So we make both the things very nicely.
I mean, this is a family of 3 dancers, so it's so incredible, your story. Bharat, tell us a little bit about Russia. I saw that one video on your social media handle. So many children watching you do Bharatnatyam, dance to that lovely song, literally copying you and dancing along. What was it like?
I was very young at that time, so it was like a new experience for me. There were more than 300 to 400 children over there, all Russians and all white people over there. And dancing in front of them was like a new level opportunity I got. And I showed my full talent and capability over there. They even tried to copy me, as you said. So it was like a very good experience.
And he was just 9 or 8 years. He was just 8-year-old that time.
So it was like a very good experience. They all tried to copy me, copy my dance. I actually gave them some difficult moves also, and they all were like so tired after doing that all dance. It was like a very good experience.
And I remember he told me, yes, my father, I still remember, my father said we should not supposed to dance with shoes and socks. And though there was a winters, but it was a very sunny and very bright day. तो थोड़ा गर्म था floor. तो every child इससे भरत है सबको बोलते कि सब shoes socks उतार के और सब बच्चों ने I really appreciate उन बच्चों ने बिल्कुल भी नहीं बोला कि हम नहीं उतारेंगे. There was youngsters also, like college के बच्चे भी थे, छोटे बच्चे भी थे, the mixed crowd. So every child removed their shoes and socks and they all come to learn, that half an hour workshop. We taught folk dance, Indian classical dance. So they all danced bare feet the way Bharat instructed them.
It's truly inspiring. Now, just how many other countries have you all traveled to? Any unforgettable performances that you would like to share with us?
Imagine.
See, we travel a lot, frankly speaking. We start our journey with Doha, Qatar. He was just 2-3-year-old. Then after Doha, we're working with the GEMS education schools there, and we're taking the workshop in different schools and university. I got the chance to train the children in Qatar University. There was a short film on Indian classical dance. There was all the Qatari students shoot. I was a hero in that. I would like to share that also with you. So after that, we shifted to Bahrain. Then we worked in Bahrain also for a short while, again by the Ministry of Cultural Affairs. We traveled many countries. We performed in Sydney, we performed in Thailand, we performed in Armenia, Russia, Vietnam, and Japan. So we performed in many countries and we represent India, and we really feel proud to represent India. And I must tell you one more thing, ma'am. Like I was in Sydney a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and one girl came with the 2 small babies, and after the performance, everybody like take the pictures, and the girl came and she touched my feet. मैंने कहा बेटा कौन then she said Rahul sir याद है आपने बहुत साल पहले maybe 15-16 years ago you taught dance in Bhavan Vidyalaya School Panchkula. तो now she shifted, like now she is in Sydney. तो बच्चे इस तरह से आते हैं, अलग-अलग देशों में मिलते हैं. So many experiences happened with me because we are working with a different schools as a part-time faculty. So बहुत बच्चे मिलते हैं, बहुत regard करते हैं. Still I have many students from, in fact, we were having the students from Pakistan also, from Karachi and Lahore. They also learn Indian classical dance with the full dedication and love and respect.
Lovely.
Still they are in touch and still they are learning online from me and Bharat. And my wife as well, and we are really feeling proud to train the children from the different nationalities.
Okay, I also want to now ask you, given that you performed all over the world, do you find the global audiences respond differently to your performances compared to Indian audiences? Because you've spoken about this vocally multiple times.
Yes, exactly. तभी तो I'm telling you, I'm not criticizing. जो हमें respect, जो हमें मान सम्मान विदेशों के बच्चों से या फिर वहाँ के जो है ऑडियंस से मिलता है, वो थोड़ा सा इंडिया में हमें थोड़ा सा कम है, क्योंकि आजकल बच्चे इतना इंटरेस्ट नहीं लेते. वहाँ पर है कि यंगस्टर्स बहुत आते हैं. This is a plus point. Wherever we have a workshop, whenever we have a performances, तो यंगस्टर्स जो हैं वो बहुत आते हैं and they love to learn, they try to learn. Again, in Vietnam मेरी वर्कशॉप थी मैम, तो वहाँ पे वियतनाम में they have a culture, they don't know कि हम कवर्ड कपड़ों में आना है या कुछ इस तरह से. They came in the western outfits, you know. Then उनको first day workshop, तो मैंने उनको बोला कि no, this is not the right way. I will not able to teach. You should come in some cover clothes. आपको बैठना है, उठना है, stretchings हैं, bendings हैं. तो so sweet, इतना अच्छा लगा. Next day सब लड़कियाँ, सब लड़के खुले कुर्ते पहनकर आ गए because they are very very dedicated. एक बार बोला, they all came in Indian attire. तो इन सब बातों से लगता है कि they are very very serious and very, you know, passionate to learn our Indian classical dance form. And yes, I've been to Vietnam many times. तो वहाँ पे जब मैं वियतनाम में जब घूमता था, तो वहाँ पे मैंने मतलब almost हर घर के बाहर देखा ओम योगा सेंटर, शिव योगा सेंटर. मतलब उनको इनके बारे में नहीं पता, फिर भी वो अपनी थोड़ी थोड़ी वर्कशॉप्स करते हैं. They open their centers there.
Right now, of course, you've shared how regimented you are. You've allotted time slots for everything that you want to be able to balance in your life. But what does your daily practice routine look like, especially when preparing for major performances? Are you giving dedicated time to practice every single day?
Yes, of course, ma'am. Because without practice, this art form can't be alive. So हम डेली अपना टाइम टेबल इस तरह सेट करते हैं कि मॉर्निंग में अगर हमारा डांस का सेशन या फॉर एग्जांपल मॉर्निंग में हाफ एन आवर दे दिया, रात को सोने से पहले 1 घंटा दे दिया, तो वी बिकॉज नाउ ही इज इन 10th, he have a tuition, he have a classes, but he always give me the time कि पापा no, we have to practice. I will arrange myself.
Because at this period of time, morning school, evening like 5 to 8, the tuitions are there. Full heavy load of studies and all is there. So I practice, but we have to practice daily, at least half an hour to 1 hour.
As tomorrow we have a performance, and we choreograph like one thing mentally. कि भरत आप यहाँ पे आना है, आपको यहाँ पे आना है, because touchwood we have such a good bonding.
Everyone says that when we both dance, we look like we practice like something 1 month or like we're practicing so hard, but it's like only 2 to 3 days practice, and the coordination is so perfect that everyone gets shocked.
Bharat, you're not supposed to share these details. Keep it to yourself.
Right.
Okay. But you spoke of 10th grade and it is such a crucial academic year. Bharat, how do you balance training with studies? And do you get told by your parents still, पढ़ाई तो करनी पड़ेगी, डांस ठीक है, but time निकालो इसके लिए?
पढ़ाई भी करनी है. Exactly, yes.
They do say this every time कि डांस इज ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट और पढ़ाई भी उतनी ही इम्पॉर्टेंट है डांस के साथ. सो they always tell me to make balance between studies and dance. In the school also we have dance periods, so I do dance in school also. And yesterday also I had a performance, so I went from school only, and the teachers are very cooperative. So after my dance time or like something I miss in the classes, they take extra classes. And even in tuition I make balance of both dance. And then if there's another big program or competition, I give like half an hour or 1 hour more to dance, because I can cope up with my studies. Like that's what I'm good at, studies. So it's fine with me of dancing more of studies. So it's like a very good balance I can make.
because our daily routine is quite different because we are following Vaishnavism. So morning we have a prayer, we have a puja, he's going for the plucking the flowers, plucking the everything. He cleaned the temple, then he offered the food. We offered the food, whatever we learn. Then we have a dance practice. So we have a different lifestyle, I must say. While before sleeping also we have a puja, we have a Gayatri mantras, chanting. They have a daily chantings also. Then practice also, offer the food to the Lord. So like that, we have a different lifestyle, not the normal lifestyle.
Quite a disciplined lifestyle, I must say.
I mean, but let's just come to the very important question here. How do you envision the future of male representation in classical dance?
I feel proud now. Starting initial days, yes, it was not that easy for me, but now I am very, very happy because अब लोगों ने जान लिया है. Now young generation is more like they know like about Indian classical dance. So they respect, they are learning, though we have a little quantity. So I always said कि I believe in the quality, not in the quantity. Because एक हीरे की दुकान पे बहुत कम लोग जाते हैं और आर्टिफिशियल शॉप पे बहुत ज़्यादा लोग. तो ऐसा ही है हमारा इंडियन कल्चर, इंडियन डांस फॉर्म इतना आसान नहीं है सीखना. इसमें बहुत टाइम लगता है, बहुत मेहनत लगती है. तो
सागर की तरह जितना लोगे उतना कम पड़ेगा.
Okay, that's a brilliant note. Let's end our conversation right there. Thank you so much to the both of you. All the very best for the performance tomorrow. Thank you for sharing your story with us here on The Breakfast Club. All right, it's a quick break for now. We're not done as yet. There's more coming up right after a short breather. We'll be right back.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as the probe into the Delhi blast, we're shifting our focus now, as this probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger, more sinister terror conspiracy following two major arrests in the past 48 hours. Investigations now reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, who also is known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and a key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator, also accused of providing technical support. This includes the drone modification for a Hamas-style attack and attempts to build rocket-based bombs. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case as well. As you know, when it comes to the Al Falah University, when it comes to its records, its accreditation, its finances, there is a lot to unpack. There a lot remains unanswered when it comes to that as well. The arrest follows evidence which was gathered during the recent searches at locations connected to this entire terror module. Now, CNN has also accessed order which is sending the Al Falah owners to 13 days ED custody, as I just told you. The founder of the Al Falah University is in custody. Saket Court says his custodial interrogation is imperative to unearth the larger terror ecosystem, the Al Falah ecosystem. Saket Court also noted that the ED submission that only a small part of Al Falah ecosystem has been identified till now. And they've also said that his family members are in the Gulf and he might flee the country as well. So that is a threat that remains. However, the owner has been sent into 13 days custody and that remains imperative. He is a very, very crucial link here. As you know, Al Falah was truly at the center of all the terror that was emerging from this university, and we're yet to uncover what was really going on behind the scenes. For more on this, we have with us Ananya. Thank you so much for joining us, Ananya. We really are learning more and more about this Al Falah University. It only goes to show how far and wide this entire network had spread.
Well, absolutely. In fact, this is a big breakthrough that the Enforcement Directorate had as far as the funding of the Alphala University is concerned. And the Alphala Trust owner was actually taken into custody by the Enforcement Directorate yesterday. And a 13-day police custody remand was granted after he was produced late last night before, in fact, the additional sessions judge at the Saket Court. And very important to highlight is that the court has noticed that not only his family members are in the Gulf, but there is a big risk that he might flee the country. And that's the reason.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's Friday, which means it's time to line up your weekend plans. Movies, shows, streaming picks, maybe even some live events.
Basically everything that you need to know about this weekend. What's lined up? What can you go watch? What should you opt for? Kaveri Gupta gets you this cheat sheet in this week's Thank God It's Friday. Take a look.
If you are done cozying up on the sofa and watching repeat telecasts, get up for a thrilling week. From gripping thrillers to eerie discoveries, a dash of romantic comedy, and everything else, the coming week promises a mind-blowing cinematic platter. Hello and welcome. You're watching Thank God It's Friday, and there's something for everyone in theatres this week. First up is 120 Bahadur. Farhan Akhtar steps into the army uniform as he brings to life Major Shaitan Singh Bhati. Based on the 1962 Battle of Rezangla, the film also stars Rashi Khanna, Vivan Bhatena and Ankit Sewaj. Next is Masti 4. The beloved Masti franchise returns with its iconic trio Ritesh Deshmukh, Vivek Oberoi and Aftar Shivdasani, directed by Milab Zaveri. This installment promises laughter, chaos and drama, and this time Arshad Varsi also joins in. And finally, Wicked for Good. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo reprise their roles as Glinda and Elphaba in the sequel to last year's Wicked. This is a must-watch. Meanwhile, an exciting lineup also awaits you on the OTT. On number 1, we have The Family Man Season 3 streaming on Amazon Prime Video. The much-anticipated series returns with Manoj Vajpayee as Shrikant Tiwari, balancing his middle-class life with his covert work for the fictional threat assessment and surveillance cell of the National Investigation Agency in Mumbai. Expect high-stakes spy action and moral dilemmas as he faces new threats. Next is The Bengal Files, streaming on ZEE5 and OTT Play Premium. The final installment in the franchise delves into direct action day and the now Khali riots, depicting the violence and truths behind the Bengal partition. Directed by Vivek Agnihotri, this 204-minute political drama follows the journey of a CBI officer. And on Netflix, we have Homebound, produced by Dhamma Productions. Homebound follows two childhood friends from a small North Indian village who aspire to join the police force. As desperation grows, their bond is put to test. This is a must-watch. And now, if you'd rather step out this weekend, here's what's happening around you. Mumbai gets ready for a laughter storm as Sunil Grover performs tomorrow, 7 p.m. onwards. Also, a soulful double treat for Mumbaikars. Pawan performs live in Mumbai this Sunday. In Noida, experience an electrifying night with the band Indian Ocean. High energy, but beats guaranteed. And in Delhi, catch Gurdas Maan live tomorrow at Seri Fort Auditorium. That's all the time we have on this edition. Wish we could pack more for you, but see you next Friday. This is me, Kaveri Gupta, signing off. Bye-bye.
Alright, and with that, it's time to now call it a wrap on this edition of The Breakfast Club.
Thanks for watching. Thank God it is Friday indeed. So we'll see you next Monday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as the probe into the Delhi blast, we're shifting our focus now, as this probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger, more sinister terror conspiracy following two major arrests in the past 48 hours. Investigations now reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, who also is known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and a key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator, also accused of providing technical support. This includes the drone modification for a Hamas-style attack and attempts to build rocket-based bombs. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case as well. As you know, when it comes to the Al Falah University, when it comes to its records, its accreditation, its finances, there is a lot to unpack. There a lot remains unanswered when it comes to that as well. The arrest follows evidence which was gathered during the recent searches at locations connected to this entire terror module. Now, CNN has also accessed order which is sending the Al Falah owners to 13 days ED custody, as I just told you. The founder of the